All right, you guys, it's the video you've all been waiting for, or at least that a good portion of you voted on. It is a review and flip through of Laying Down the Rails by Simply Charlotte Mason. This is the parent guide. I also have the student guides for you guys. And then I'm going to be doing like a small snippet of the Laying Down the Rails for Yourself, which is a book if you want to lay down rails for yourself. Or you want to watch the DVD. I will say that this is going to be a somewhat in-depth review. I try to always do my reviews where if I have a specific question about a brand new curriculum, then I try to answer all of those questions for you guys. If there's anything ever specific that you would like to see in any of my reviews, like you're like, hey, I always want this question answered and you never seem to touch on that, then let me know down below, because these reviews are for you guys, and I know all of our brains work differently and sometimes we always think of different things. So yeah, moving on. I'm going to not do a full flip through, but I will say I'll go over a few of these habits in here because they correspond with the children's books. Now I will say that there are about 45 habits in here that I counted, and then in here they all correspond to the one in the parent book, but there's a little extra. There's about 60 habits in these books, and so they just go a little bit more in depth, and they pair a few extra habits to work into some of like the themes that they mention. So I will say, like, you know, I'll go over one habit in this book and then I'll show you what this book says on it. So then that way you can kind of compare it and see if you want to buy just one book or if you want to buy the whole set. Because I know that sometimes when I see people talking about this curriculum, they're like, it's so expensive, I don't know what to buy or if I should buy everything. I will say that this is not just something you're going to use for 1 year. This is basically going to be something you use, you know, you can use from birth all the way up until 18. And so there's so much to cover, and so this is going to be the gift that kind of keeps on giving as long as you're using it. And you can use it year after year after year. So while it might be a tad pricey, I do think that if you have not been raised, because not all of us have been raised with, you know, good habits and all of these various character traits that Charlotte Mason addresses. And so if you have not been raised in that way, then it might be just a helpful guide for you, and then also things that you can work on and grow in as a mother and a homeschool teacher. So I'm going to flip around the camera, I'm going to do the review and jump into everything, and I hope that this is helpful for you. Alright, you guys, so I'm going to try to put timestamps down below in case there's something specific that you want to see. But if say you, I wanted to go over prices first because everything is different. So you could get the parent book. If you get the printed version, it is $31.95, or the ebook is $22.95 at the time of filming. If you get just the children's books, it is $29.75 for the ebook and $40.82 for the printed versions. You get both in that set. If you wanted to get Laying Down the Rails for Yourself, there are 4 different versions of the book between, you know, audio, ebook, the paperback. It all ranges from $11.02 to $16.13. And the DVD is $4.21 ranging to $11.02 depending on the version that you want, as far as if you want it just as like an audio download, if you want the actual DVD, and I don't remember what the other version was. Now if you wanted to purchase the whole set, they actually have it set up really nice where you can choose between ebooks and hard copies and audio versions. Now, if you get all of the physical products, it is $95.16, but it is cheaper depending on if you get like the ebook versions and the audio downloads and things like that. So that's all of the prices. Now, as far as the DVD, I think this is helpful if you are a visual person, if, you know, feeling like you're at a convention or at an in-person talk is helpful for you to understand. I don't remember exactly how long it was. I think it was about an hour. I just remember watching it one day when I was in the kitchen food prepping on the weekend. So it didn't take very long to get through. And she basically goes over, discover why habits are so powerful, learn why nagging doesn't work, find out which habits Charlotte Mason encouraged parents to focus on, and collect practical tips for how to cultivate good habits. And then here's the book. It's laying down the rails for yourself, and good habits are not just for kids. As you guys can see, I have my makeshift bookmark, so I haven't gotten all the way through it. But I don't feel like you need both of these. If anything, I would probably get this one. I could be wrong, but I feel like I read some of the things in here that she mentioned in here. So yeah, do with that information what you will. Now, this mainly goes over, establishing good habits for yourself, why it's important, how to make the changes, some of the things that you should keep in mind for yourself and things like that. Which I think is, if you're going to do it for your kids, then why not do it for yourself too? It makes sense, at least to me. All right, so going over the parent guide first. So this is broken up into 3 different parts for the book. Here's your table of contents. It goes over all of the character and habit traits that you are going to be focusing on, as well as repairing certain bad habits. There's an introduction page. And then part 1 goes over the importance of establishing good habits by using quotes from Charlotte Mason. So it'll give you some quotes and, additional reading about habits. And so how, habits can be more powerful than natural tendencies. A habit is inevitable. Habits produce character. The mother who takes pains to endow her children with good habits secures for herself smooth and easy days. That's one of my favorite Charlotte Mason quotes, because you guys, it's so true. And then it says, children pick up habits from actions and attitudes of those around them. It goes over training in good habits is linked to discipline of the will, developing a response to conscience, and teaching about God. And then it ends with, we must train our children in habits of decency and propriety, moral habits, mental habits, physical habits, and religious habits. And then there's always going to be a notes section. So they'll usually leave you some space to write your own notes. And then they'll usually put some Charlotte Mason quotes on the side for you as well that pair with what they talked about inside the part. All right, so part 2 goes over laying down the rails. So chapter 2 talks about how to cultivate good habits, basically what's needed from you and what you should be careful of. And then chapters 3 through 8 discuss the actual habits that you're going to be jumping into. They do separate them out. So chapter 3 will go over decency and proprietary habits, and it'll discuss cleanliness, courtesy, kindness, manners, modesty, purity, neatness, order, regularity. And then here's several more habits that Charlotte mentions but didn't elaborate on. And some of these will be the additional character traits and habits that I mentioned would be in the children's book. Now, this book, along with Charlotte Mason, encourages you to start with the habits of obedience, attention, and truthfulness. And it's suggested to work on one habit at a time for 6 to 8 weeks, or until your child has mastered it before moving on to the next habit. So the first one that I'm going to show you in the parent's guide is obedience, and what that's going to look like for you guys. So it talks about obedience, what it is. It gives you some information or quotes on the side. And then it starts with, so each habit is going to start with a living story right here, because Charlotte Mason was all about living stories. And it's from another mother, or about, a mother's experience. And then it goes over Charlotte Mason's thoughts on obedience and everything that she said in any of her writings. Let me move it more in the middle. Sorry, guys. And then it will give you, after that, questions to ask yourself or even your children about obedience. just so you can kind of get a better understanding of, how to approach this topic. And then it will give you some more quotes about obedience, either from people or from scripture. All right, so now I'm going to move this and show you guys the children's book section on obedience. Okay, that just closed. I'm going to use this as a weight to keep the book open. So this is the children's book. This will start with the character trait or habit at the top, and then you'll get your parent prep. So you'll create goals for this habit and steps to get there. You will think of a story or a person from your life that demonstrates this habit. You will also plan additional stories, poems, quotations, Bible verses that you would like to use, if any. There will be, any other activities that you want to do to practice this habit, and then some celebration ideas for once it's completed. Now, you will get lesson ideas. None of them are the same. Like, it's not, I get 8 lessons per character trait that we discussed. No, they all vary in lesson numbers. So sometimes you'll get 8, sometimes you'll get 12. It really just depends on the habit that you're discussing. Now, in the notes section, you'll get some talking points, but each lesson itself is different. So sometimes you'll read a poem, sometimes you'll go over scripture, sometimes you'll be reading parts from a play or story that they have. It's really all just different, but you get to discuss obedience in various forms that can hopefully stick with your child. All right, so just to give you guys an idea of another character trait or habit that you're going to discuss is kindness. So again, it will start with a living story about another mother, all regarding kindness, and then it will give you all of Charlotte Mason's thoughts and writings on what she said about kindness, and then it will give you questions to ask yourself, and then more quotes on kindness. So these will also be from other people. There'll be scriptures and just different things like that. And then I'm going to pull up the children's book so then you guys can see inside what that one says about kindness. All right, so here is the children's book on kindness and the lessons that go with it and how you'll implement it. So again, it will start with the parent prep, and then you'll get multiple lessons. And just like the last one I showed you on obedience, it's all the same. So you'll review the definition of what kindness is. Your child can go over scripture on the topic. You'll read poems. You'll discuss the parent points that are in the notes section. You'll read stories or plays. And I have a piece of paper. And then you'll basically get ideas for kindness and activities and things like that. So every lesson is going to be different. And as you guys can see, I think obedience had, 12 lessons, and then kindness has 15. So none of them are always the same amount. All right, you guys, we're going to go back to the parent book one last time, and I'm going to show you guys what part 3 looks like. So this is going to be all about repairing the rails, and this is going to last from chapters 9 to 14. It's going to cover breaking bad habits, basically. So it gives you 10 steps to dealing with a bad habit, and how you can stay consistent in helping your child to overcome that bad habit, or even yourself. And then it jumps into the bad habits. So it has a chapter on dealing with lying. It has another chapter on dealing with dawdling. There's the next one, I believe, is, I flipped too fast, I'm sorry. With dealing with malicious or mean behavior. The next one is dealing with temper tantrums. And then the last one is dealing with a sullen, moody child. Towards the end of the book, you will also get a checklist to go over and all of the things that you should keep in mind when going over each habit. And then there's different sections. So it says like me, and then you can list, all of your family members and if they met these goals. And then towards the end of the book, there is a website that you can go to that gives you encouragement and ideas on how to implement each of these habits. So that is it for the flip through. I'm going to turn around the camera now. All right, you guys, so that is the end of the flip through. Now, if you're trying to figure out, like, should I really buy this whole set? I personally purchased it because while I love researching and it's truly one of my heart's desires, I wanted something that's more open and go. You know, I don't want to have to spend hours finding every single thing that Charlotte Mason ever said on, you know, the topic of kindness, or, you know, having the parent guide that tells me everything, but then I have to sit there and spend hours on how to implement it. But I understand that funds are also tight. Inflation is crazy, especially depending on the state that you're in. You guys, I can't even talk about our gas prices. It's disgusting. But that's neither here nor there. I would say that it really depends on how your brain works, on what set to get, because I know some people say like, oh, just get the parent guide, it'll give you everything that you need. And while that could be true, if your brain does not, you know, just run off with an idea, and or you're not the type of person who wants to sit there and plan how to execute, say, teaching truthfulness, then this is not going to be the book for you. If you're like, hey, I have no problem going and researching and finding everything that Charlotte Mason ever said on truthfulness, and I don't mind taking that time, but I don't want to plan out how I'm going to necessarily execute it and sit down and plan ideas, then you're going to want the children's book, because that's going to give you, like I showed you, all of the lesson ideas, the scriptures, the poems, and things like that. So, but if you're like, hey, no, I need, you know, a guideline on what each habit to work on is, and, you know, it's nice to have everything that Charlotte Mason said in one place, and I don't have to go look for it, and I can sit there and plan until I'm blue in the face on how I'm going to implement these things, then the parent guide would be for you. So I don't think it's just, you know, a one size fits all on, oh, just get the parent guide and you're going to be fine, or just get the kids guide and you're going to be fine. I really feel like it depends on how much work you want to put in and what you necessarily want to research. Do you want to research what Charlotte Mason said on these things, or do you want to have a plan laid out for you and then you can go and figure things out? So I hope that that makes sense and that that is helpful. I will link the Charlotte Mason, Simply Charlotte Mason website down below in case you guys want to check out these resources. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button, and I will see you again later. Bye.